It's not the general type of books that I read, but it was something different, and I decided to just be like, okay, I'll try. Is Black Privilege, Opportunity Comes to Those Who Create It. A bit of background about Charlemagne, the God. He's a TV and radio personality. I think he's best known for being on the radio. And so in the various chapters, he chronicles how, first of all, that it's a privilege to be Black. In this, it's a privilege to be whatever skin color you were born in. And I think because he's Black, he's like, it's a privilege. I'm not going to look at another race and say, I wish I was born Asian or Caucasian or whatever. Being born Black, I'm blessed. I don't need to be white. I don't need to be brown. I'm happy. And this is a privilege, and God made me this way. And so I can succeed in the skin I'm in. And so he chronicles just different aspects of Black privilege and how he used his own, recognizing his own greatness that God made him with to be able to create opportunities for himself. There was just one chapter, I think probably the reason that I even read the book was just there's this one chapter that really struck me because it's been part of like dialogues that I've been having. It's been part of conversations that I've been having. Conversations have been around this particular topic. And so when I read this in the book, I'm like, And I was impressed to see that the writer knew or had been able to have the level of consciousness to make decisions such as this. And so there's a chapter in the book that talks about there are no losses, only lessons. So he chronicles the L's that he's taken through his radio career, like if it's being fired. And one thing that he was able to acknowledge that, these opportunities, he's being fired not because he has poor ratings or his radio presence is not fair, all that. It's not because of that, but it was other underlying reasons. So he never doubted his talent. He was like, what, I'm good at this, and I'm getting there. And he took steps towards bettering himself, and he was able to recognize opportunities even though they didn't necessarily have a paycheck attached to them. And this is interesting. I'll just have to preface by saying that this isn't for everyone. How this nugget, the whole, being able to recognize an opportunity if there's no paycheck, it's not for everyone. And even for myself, I've been presented with job opportunities and the pay was, non-existent. But because I know where I'm going and I know what I have, I know what God has put inside of me, I'm willing to do something extra on the side, but grow in this because this is where I'm going. And it's not a loss because there's something I'm learning and there's something I'm about to gain from all of this. So it's the same way for a whole number of things. Sometimes you may end up in a job and you're an intern, you're being paid almost nothing. It's costing you more to go to that place of work than it would be to stay at home. But because you know what this is going to do for your resume, you know where you're going to go on, with that focus, you have to have focus. You can't just be taking everything, just saying, okay, whatever, I'll take it. But you have the focus and I know where I'm going, so I'll do this. So similarly to him, in the book, he talks about how he met Wendy Williams, and she told him, you should come and be my co-host, and I'm looking for this kind of person, and let's see if you can do it. And he was adamant. He was like, I'm going to be there. And he did calling 5 million times to make sure that he's there. So he went to New Jersey. He's from South Carolina. So he went to New Jersey and told them and, did what he had to do. And they said, okay, you know what, we like you. So we're going to offer you the opportunity to come and be her co-host, but we're not going to pay you. We'll give you a place to stay, but we'll iron out the payment later. He had previously, he had a job before. He still had the job, and he was working on the weekends, but he had been paid more. He was being paid much more. A person would have argued, if you wait out a bit, you get an opportunity with money. But he saw what being attached to Wendy Williams would do for his radio career, because at the time she was a very notable radio personality, and he saw that if I do this, I'll get there, and then I'll get there, and then okay. So he did that quick math, because other times we find that you're like 2 + 2 is 4 - 1. No, you don't even want to go there. You don't even want to. You're like, no, it has to keep, everything after this has to keep going higher for me. But he was not afraid to be like, you know what, I know where this is going to take me. And sometimes we're not able to see that. And that was, for me, it's like a really big lesson, because sometimes you feel like, these are the paychecks I'm getting, so my next job has to be here. And if people don't offer you that, you're not willing to take it. Which I have to temper and say this. You have to also be able to recognize that it's an opportunity, not an avenue for exploitation. That people are not telling you, okay, I'm paying you with exposure. There's some things that, okay, what exactly are you offering? I saw something on my timeline that there were some people who wanted people for a photo shoot or a music video or something like that, and they said that they're not paying the people, but they're going to give them the exposure. If you're a well-known brand, if you're somebody who carries respect and you're able to pay, it's not that we're not two struggling artists who I'm like, you just help me, and along the line I'll help you, but you're somebody who's a force to reckon with, and it's well within your capacity to pay, but you refuse, and you tell somebody, you should recognize this opportunity. It's not an opportunity because you're being exploited. So similarly, you have to temper those two things. Like you have to have a balance. You have to be able to know that this actually is an opportunity, because like in the book he talks about, so after he stayed on for a bit with Wendy, and they were just giving him accommodation, he was hosting gigs here and there, and finally he got to a place where now they offered him, and they gave him a contract, and he was making, I think, 70,000 a year, which that's good money. But he had to be able to recognize that if he does a good job and gets the recognition necessary, he can get to that paycheck. But if he doesn't do anything, then he won't. But if he's like, no, I'll just wait for the other one, I'll wait for something safe. I thought that was a really good nugget and a good lesson that was in this book. And it makes you think, and I hope that it'll make you think that you'll be able to recognize that this is an opportunity, and also you'll be able to see this is exploitation. Like, you can afford to pay me, so I don't know why you're not being able to pay me. And even though it may not be for everyone, there's some things that you think you realize that you're just doing it out of goodwill. Sometimes it's not even an opportunity for you to succeed, but it's an opportunity for you to lift another person. In this era we live, it's scratch my back and and I'll scratch yours. It doesn't always have to be like that. You can just do something for somebody and you're like, I know, I'm not going to stress you for payment or anything like this. I just want to see you shine. So here's my way of doing this for you and seeing you shine. So here's my contribution into your life by doing 1, 2, 3 for you and seeing you shine. So I think that's another lesson that I saw in the book. He was trying to get his artist's music to other DJs, and they didn't ask him for anything. They're like, okay, we'll play the record, and that was that. It was not scratch my back. And if it's business and music and modeling, people are always like, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. You should just be able to be like, I'm going to bless you, and I don't need anything from you. This is my contribution into your life. I may never give you a paycheck, but my service to you is what I'll give you. And I thought that was really important. I liked how he was, in his capacity, he was able to recognize that there's something that God has given me, and it's mine. And I'm going to do the best to mine it out and let it shine. So in every opportunity that I get chiseled or molded, I'll do that. I'm not going to be like, I'm this talented person, don't you know me? In my hometown, people know me. No, he was willing to be humble and do the work and not skip any steps. He's like, okay, if this is the phase I'm in where I have to struggle, I'll do that. If this is the phase I'm in, I have to be sleeping in someone's room, I'll do that. but there was never a moment that he was like, I'm too good for this. And I think the moment that we get in our heads that we're too good for something, we lose out. We immediately lose out on whatever was meant to be for us. Yeah, that's basically the nugget from the book. I hope you enjoyed the review. Like, share, subscribe. See you on the next one.